Welcome to Salaam Nerds Podcast. We do reviews and recaps of nerd culture, reality TV, and current events from this week.
Yo, it's Salaam Nerds. My name is Dean, aka E626, and I'm here with my boy Chad.
We drop live episodes on YouTube on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. All episodes can also be found everywhere podcasts are found. Thank you to all our supporters. Please help us by subscribing and leaving a good review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Yo, Salaam Nerds. This is your boy Neve, aka Watch with Neves, and I'm here with my co-host Jazz, aka DJ Bleeding Crystal.
Bleeding Crystal. Surprise, I'm here.
I know.
Jazz. I was like, wait, what?
I know. Jazz wasn't here for the pre-show, so he showed up, and the audience never knew that he literally just jumped on.
I had no idea.
Like in the middle of the intro, just showed up.
I know. I ran away in the middle of the intro because I forgot my notes. So I'm like looking for where my notes are.
Should I be more professional and bring notes? I don't do that.
I bring notes just to keep the pace. But other than that, it's a free-for-all. We do whatever we want. So, talk over each other, fight each other, whatever you want. Just kidding. We don't do that here. Even though it got a little testy last week.
It did get spicy. I apologize.
I love it.
I apologize. I feel like I might have to eat some of my words. I feel like you guys.
Christine, we won. We won.
Wait.
It doesn't matter what you say now.
No needs. It doesn't matter what we say. We won. We won.
We won.
Some of my words. Some of my words. But yes. I will give you guys the victory. I give you guys the victory. What's up, MTF? Welcome to the chat. Yes, guys. We are doing the finale of the Acolyte Star Wars. And I was a pretty harsh critic. But I gotta say,
Egg on your face.
I gotta
eat.
I gotta eat some of my words. Some of my words.
Most of your words.
Some of my words. I feel like a lot of things I still stand behind, but I think they landed. I think they landed the ship. I think they stuck the landing. I am super happy with the way it came out. Still some things that I'm a little iffy about, but honestly, that was a great episode. Is it a great show? We'll see. We'll talk it out. But that was a great episode. That was a great finale. I'm very happy with it. Jazz, we did not get your thoughts last week. So before we join our beautiful guests and get their views, because we kind of already know what their views are, well, how about you? As you have not expressed your views on this that much, how do you feel about the show?
Okay, so as a show overall, I did have a lot of problems with May's writing. Not her as an actress, but just a lot of the whiplash I got just watching her go from like, hey, I'm going to turn myself into the Jedi. Hey, I don't need to listen to you anymore. Hey, I'm going to do this now. Hey, we're going to go do this. I'm just like, girl, get a grip. But that's not exactly her fault as a character. This is definitely writers, or it could have been post-production where they took scenes and chopped them up and mixed them around. I don't know what it was exactly. Soul and the way he was portrayed, especially at the end, which we'll talk about today.
Sorry, I'll beat myself.
we'll get into that, right? But then the other thing, like some of the expectations we had for Khmer, Renastra, I'm just like, all right, we called this. And so, I have my gripes with it, but was it the worst show ever? I think it actually is not now. I think Boba Fett still holds that title. So let's just get into this episode and talk about the finale, because this was actually a great episode.
All right. Christine, we know you like the show. You knew you were championing it. How satisfied are you with this finale?
100,000%. It gave me everything I wanted and things that I didn't even know I needed. And the execution was so great. It was just so great. Literally the continuation, how everything held out, how it wasn't really. I know you just said you thought she turned on a dime earlier, but with Osha and the decision that she made, how it progressed, how she only believed it from a certain person. So I kind of want to wait till we get there, I guess. Mm-hmm. But it just landed everything. It just landed everything with her her turmoil, how she reacted, and you saw the power within her. It was just I'm so blown away. I am just like, I don't know. I'm in cloud 9. This is just amazing. I love it. I love it. It's my favorite.
So, Wara, did you get what you needed out of this? Are we anti-Jedi right now?
I got everything I needed and more. Bravo to Leslie Headland and her entire team on an amazing show, an amazing finale. This is my personal favorite Star Wars series. I just like, I love the themes, the acting,
more than Andor,
the writing. Andor, I think, is the technically best show. I am not going to dispute that. I think it's an amazing show. I said my personal favorite because this is my shit. I love the moral gray ambiguities in between the Jedi and Sith, light side and dark side, and like no. Brown Boy Wonder, I did not say better than Andor. Just my personal favorite. This is what I think more Star Wars stories should be, going into this moral ambiguity. And I said in a previous episode that this was giving me KOTOR 2 vibes. If you ever played Knights of the Old Republic 2, and specifically you know about the character of Kreia and her moral ambiguity, Leslie Headland, I found out, actually played KOTOR 2 and is a big fan of Kreia and wants to do a live action series with her. I just like, Leslie Headland and I are on the same vibes with this. I'm just like, yes, this is what I want, because I'm so tired of the strict binary of not actually deconstructing the Jedi and the Jedi Order and Force dogma, and yes, that too, that the main characters here are people of color, SH. But yeah, it's just like more stories need to be like this. We need more daring stories like this. We need just, again, breaking out of these binaries and doing a deep exploration and critical analysis of Star Wars. That's what we could have gone with the sequel trilogy from The Last Jedi, but then we got whatever the fuck episode 9 was just capitulated to the standard in the worst way possible. But Acolyte is giving me everything I want. I fucking love this show. I love this finale. And I will say, Neebs, you said it landed the ship. I would say it landed the ship in more ways than one.
Oh, you did.
Wow, you went there.
Oh yeah, I am Oshamir all the way. Oshamir all the way.
I think I know a guy named Shamir, actually. It was just funny. Listen, we're all praising it. We like the standing. We like the landing, but I still have some gripes with it. And to me, the issue is that as a full show, I want to see a season 2. I want a season 2 of the show.
Yes,
please, but I don't want it in the same format we got this. Like, don't try to be a murder mystery show and then switch halfway through. And then don't try to do these like non-linear stories. Like, let's just do it normally, because I feel like a lot of these like things that they took risk on did not land. But the overall story was still strong enough and still good enough to give us a good experience, which I really, really like about this. The other thing is, I do feel like Disney does this horrible thing where they have these directors and showrunners come to you with a great story and they say, perfect, how many episodes do you need? And they'll be like, oh, I need 12. And they're like, great, make it into 6. Right? And then these like, you have to figure out what to do. And I feel like what happened here was like, hey, they had a 12 episode story. They told them to make it into 6. Then they're like, we can't do it. We got to make it into 8. Then they stretched it out. That's why parts of it feels rushed. Parts of it feels slow. And I feel like the pace and the slow was a little bit off. And I don't think that's the showrunner's fault. I feel like we've seen it done over and over and over again for many, many shows. And they're trying to like, and I know why they're doing it. So I read this article the other day and they're like, the reason they're doing these short episodes is that they know that when a show starts, it gets a high number of ratings. Then halfway through it, the numbers drop. And then what they do is they put all the amazing stuff in the finale. So the people who dropped in the middle of it will hear all this stuff about the finale and then go back and finish it. And that's how they do it. So they have like an algorithmic corporate approach to these shows, which is killing the creatives. And I don't think that's the fault of the showrunners. I think they're like, hey, here's an algorithm that works. But it's a Star Wars show, so they're all going to tune in the beginning. Then episode 3 and 4, they're probably going to leave, and then we're going to save all the good stuff for the end. And then when everyone's talking about it, all the people are going to be like, oh, it's good. Let me go back and watch it. And since it's only 6 episodes, they can easily knock it out in one day and then move on to the next show and the next show and the next show. And it's the way to get viewers. It's the way to get what you call subscribers, because subscribers, there's a spike in subscribers whenever a new show comes on. So if you have 20 episodes, you're not getting new subscribers. But if you take 20 episodes divided by 6, you get 4 new shows, or how many new shows, and you basically get new subscribers every time they pop up. And it's a scam. And that's what they're doing. And
that's a flawed methodology, though, because a lot of these subscribers are subscribers that are leaving after the show ends, only for them to resubscribe the moment a new quote-unquote show comes back. Like, it's the same number of people, but you just get to show churn, which is dumb. Like,
which is probably
the hope is that they find something else, though. The hope is that they get in and they go for this one show, but while they have the system, Disney Plus, they have others. They find other things that they get attached to, and then they would keep it. So I don't think everybody drops. I do think some people keep it, and I do understand where you're coming from, but it is show business. Like, they don't get the money to make the show. You don't get anything at all. So I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying I kind of understand. So, and then some of the stuff for this one doesn't really bother me. Like the pace, I don't know. I really got over it, or probably after 4 or 5, but the pacing in the show, it really didn't bother me. I actually like nonlinear storytelling. It just makes me sit and go like this. It just it was so good. And I really do think a lot can be said about the show being made from the female gaze. And I don't just mean, the obvious, but I just mean even about what you were saying, Jazz, your gripe about how May changed on a dime. Can I just tell you, as a woman, we can do that. Somebody just be like that.
Sure. Okay, can't argue with that.
We I really feel like we're used to most media being made from the male perspective, not in a misogynist. I mean, mostly, yes, but sometimes just because they've always been in charge. And then when you have the female brain working, she's going from the understanding of how our female brain actually works, not how someone assumes that it works. And there were times where I did see the little speck of what they were dropping. Like I said, when she turned good, not she turned good, but in the very first episode, May refused to kill that child, and that man who really are witnesses that she should have killed, she was only out for revenge. She was never a completely super evil Sith. So for her to find her sister and then change, it didn't seem quick to me, because I could already see, because that's how my brain works. I can already see those little things, and that's how she actually feels. So I just think some of it is it just landed differently when you're not used to seeing that approach. So
sure.
Yeah.
But
I totally agree, Christine. We're just with May, with Osha, with this woman-led series from a woman creator and Leslie Headland, and other women writers behind the scenes. It's just it's not that there's anything necessarily specific to one sex or the other. It's more that, hey, here's a different sort of storytelling that we don't usually see in the often male-dominated Star Wars, and maybe we just need more of that, and we need more perceptions, more understandings of how story structure can go. I haven't dived too much into it, but I've read some headlines saying that the Acolyte is very much inspired by we have the Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell, but there is another setup book called The Heroine's Journey, and apparently the Acolyte was based off of it as well. So I'd love to dive more into that, and again, just have new things done in this franchise, because I think what the Acolyte did so successfully compared to other series is just forces the viewer to see things from a different lens, to analyze what the tenets of Star Wars that they've known for so long from a different perspective. Hey, we're actually going to put these Sith, the Darksiders, the supposed villains of the franchise, really in the protagonist box, and go along with them on their journey. See Osha on her journey of going from a supposedly former Jedi who is still on the quote-unquote light side, but as she learns more, she gains her revenge and retribution, and we see that, in my opinion, magnificently in the final episode, where it's the culmination of her anger. And that's something else we don't get to see a lot of, woman rage and woman anger. Like, that was amazing. And the way Amanda Stenberg, the way they play it is incredible. So getting to see Soul's comeuppance in that moment, it's something, it really, I don't want to say it's a heroic moment, but it's a moment, it's a climax moment of yielding story results for Osha. And it's compelling. It's great to see, even though we know that she's quote unquote going to the dark side. Seeing the scene of the crystal bleeding, even though we know it's out of anger and rage and pain, it's still like, we're still like, go Osha, because we feel for her. It's done so well, and I just want more of this. Just give us more of this, Lucasfilm, please.
Here's my only complaint about that. They gave us so many great things in this finale. I think the entire show could have been great, or even greater, if they spread some of this out throughout the show. Like, we didn't need to see all of this at the very end. There's so much that we could have seen. Like, there's so many times where Soul could have like divulged like what was happening with the twins, but they saved it for the end. They saved her turning to the dark side till the end. They saved May kind of just like seeking, justice instead of revenge at the end. Like, all of these things were great, and they made this episode so good. I think the show could have been even greater if they spread some of this stuff out throughout the series than just saving it all at the very end.
I'm not too sure about that. I
completely disagree. Yeah,
right,
no, it's whisper. That's not how books work. That's not how story works. Like, you know everything before, and then I hate knowing stuff and then waiting for other people to catch up. Like, sitting there and knowing that it's just a misunderstanding, and then waiting for her to find out. Like,
I don't think that we knew, like, the episode where you found out that Soul killed the mom. I think that could have just been in the third episode. I didn't think we need to go. We didn't need to go back to that.
I disagree too.
Because
I think they're ruining
but then you see Soul so differently. No, because essentially you see him as a good guy the whole time until the end. So if we know at the beginning, and we're just having none of any of his shenanigans, we're having none of him trying to tell Osha to keep in her anger. Like, we're just not even a part of it. We're just already raging at him, not seeing like kind of the complexity of his character. Because honestly, I had difficulty with him, and meaning like I completely thought he needed to be held accountable for his actions, but I just love him as much as the character and the actor and everything. And I was just like, he was well made, and he definitely messed up, and he definitely needs to pay for it. But at least he wasn't intentionally going in and being evil. But the last episode, when he refused to hold, like, I did not think it would go that way. I did not think he would keep saying, yeah, but I was right. Yeah, but I was right. But I was like, excuse me,
I feel like
sir.
they destroyed his character.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I was actually upset about that.
I don't think they destroyed his character. I think what we saw throughout the series was the deconstruction of Soul, and by extension, a lot of the other Jedi, if not the Jedi Order itself. We saw like it through Osha's eyes, this idealistic view of what the Jedi are supposed to be, but you peel back more and more of the layers, and it's done in a relatively subtle way. It's not as though like every episode is like Jedi are awful. We see subtle hints of, them being a police force on like one planet or another, and them being super strict in their rules, such as we see with Yord, such as we see their, it's effectively, how they bring up children, to be warriors. Like Kamir says to Soul, you're the one who brought her here in episode 5 to this fight.
Or even this one where he's like, we make a great team or something.
Or even this one. And it's just like, so we're seeing it increasingly through Osha's eyes and her own self-reflection of why she wasn't able to really become a Jedi. She has this like internal hurt and anger and anguish that doesn't allow her to go the distance with that. And then she finds out the reason, oh no, you just never told me the truth. You just like let me think that my parents, that like my family just died in some sort of freak fire accident, and it was old May's fault. Like, not only did she did Soul lie to her, but he blamed her sister for it and had Osha be angry at her sister. Like the levels of betrayal that and horrible things, psychologically horrific things this man did to Osha. It's just like we see it throughout the series, and it's like I think that it's a journey of getting to understand that Soul, as great as he initially seems, is not all hot shit. And I think that's really well done. I also want to say it's really interesting for me as someone who has not read the High Republic books or other magazine or comics or other media. And I have like friends that have, and seeing this series for them has sort of been a struggle. I want to give like credence to that because they see these Jedi that they've read through the High Republic as being like genuinely noble, the Jedi Order genuinely being a good thing. But now we have this series in which you have this deconstruction, which I love because again, I love this shit. But I also do see for that other side of the equation, and Neeps, like you talked about this as well in previous episodes, that do still see the Jedi as a genuinely good thing. And I genuinely think that there's absolutely room for that argument too. And that's why I also think the Acolyte is great art, because it allows for these varieties of interpretations. And whether you read the background material, whether you haven't, and I just love it so much.
Yeah, no, I totally look. I feel what you're saying about Soul. I did feel like there was something a little bit more missing, and I really like Soul the entire episode, but I did have issues with May and Osha in terms of being invested in that character. And I feel like if they gave us a few more crumbs in some of these other episodes, I would have been invested in these characters a lot sooner. And the emotional journey for me would have been as good as it was for you guys. I think that's where they lost me a little bit. I feel like this episode, the last one, I was so invested in Osha. I was so invested in May. And I wish I was invested a little bit earlier because I would have enjoyed it a little bit more.
Yeah, and that's my thing too. Like, my investment in May specifically, like, do not get me wrong, this is just like one specific character. If it was fleshed out a bit more, phenomenal, probably, right? Osha's storyline, I thought that was actually perfect.
Yeah.
Soul storyline, the twist at the end, like, like he just kept, he was adamant that he was a good guy. I was like, all right, I buy this. I don't like it. I buy it though. Kamir's entire storyline, holy shit, he's one of the best villains ever. Like it was so close, and like I want to say it's a good series, but the potential here to be something beyond that's what hurts me the most. Like, it was so close.
The thing
just
is,
a little bit more ironing out, and we just had it.
The other thing is, like, we don't know if we're getting a season 2, and I feel like there's a lot of stuff that's like, hey, left out there for season 2, which is great if we're going to get a season 2. If not, I'm like, oh, we're never going to know what happened with Kamir. We're never going to know what happened with this. And that's why, like,
Plagueis?
We'll talk about that. Though, like, honestly, I don't even think that's the biggest important thing. Like, I know the 2 cameos are like what the internet's going crazy over. I feel like those 2 were the least interesting things about this episode. There were so many cooler things that happened. And
I mean, yes, but the lore drop, man.
The lore drop is cool. I will give that. But the fighting, oh my god, the fighting
phenomenal.
is so good, so good,
top notch.
I can't.
Amazing.
Like, I can't even pick at anything I don't like about that, because phenomenal, perfect.
The only thing about the
fighting throughout the show has been absolutely phenomenal. Can we just please say that?
Yeah, the choreography, the execution has all been amazing. My only thing was like, where did Soul randomly get all this power? Because like he was getting his behind handed to him, a few episodes ago. So why is he suddenly now? And then what Maria said, if you read the comments, he was definitely, if you watch him, he was like tapping more into his anger when he was fighting Kamir than he usually like will let himself get into. And it seemed to kind of, he didn't go like dark side or anything, but definitely something he was fighting in a different way and from a different place than he did when episode 5.
Well, Jedis are known to tap into the dark side. And Mace Windu is one of those characters who is known to like not go to the dark side, but always tap into the dark side. So it is possible. So you're on to something.
That's why Saber's purple, it's blue and red.
Exactly.
Dude, the bleeding crystal scene is probably the coolest thing. Like, you see her veins in her arms, then you see the crystal change, and then you see the actual lightsaber change. And I was like, wow, what a gift. to actually see that.
I think it even like before that, because it cut off what was it, 6 cut off when she put the helmet on, and then you know what he said, he kind of like predicted it's just you and the force what you bring with you, and then it's like almost like she closed herself off for so long because she's trying to do it the Jedi way and like just like pushing out all her emotions, but with the helmet on she just like gets sucked into it. And like she is so powerful, and she does this witch thing, not a Jedi thing. It was a witch thing that she did to him, which is interesting
his
because
eyes turn black and
his eye turns black. He's seeing it differently, like we saw with her mom. But she's seeing her sister, but she's really, I think we know, seeing herself. And then the other thing that is really interesting is that they're the same person technically. I still think they're sisters because they're like raised together, but that also kind of explains, because they're not really truly a dyad, right? Because we've seen they've been connected from the beginning, but she kept seeing like little May, but then May saw her. May was surprised, so May wasn't getting the same thing. So it wasn't really like the visions you saw in the sequels between Rey and then Kylo Ren. And I don't know why I call him by his real name. Like,
that's good. It's correct.
Yeah, so it's not like that kind of specific dyad, but at the same time, there is something that always keeps them, that binds them together, even if they don't fully understand it. And I do think there's some things that are left out there, but there are some things that I think, like, we kind of got the answers to like the biggest questions. And like basically where she would go and why she would go there. Because like once we realized, or when Headland said that this is like the villain story, I'm like, okay, well, she's definitely going to be the Acolyte. Like, how does she get there? And like I said, I think the progression was great. I think it couldn't happen any other way. She didn't believe it when her sister told her. I don't think she would have believed it if Kamir told her. But hearing Soul confess, and then not even I'm sorry I hurt you. Right. Not even like even if you said, oh, I accidentally killed her. Like, if you scuff somebody's shoe, oh, my bad, I didn't mean to do that. Right? Like, how hard is that to do? Like, I don't understand why he was just like, but I was like, because I was trying. He's making excuses. Like,
and this is why the Jedi suck. This is why the Jedi suck. Because they're so... Well, he sucks specifically, but why a lot of others suck as well. Because they're so inundated with their moral righteousness and that everything they do is permitted for the sake of the greater good or for some sense of balance. Again, this is where Kreia from KOTOR 2 comes in. It's so good.
But what we're not talking about in that scene is also the fact that May pulls a Luke Skywalker and throws the lightsaber away and says, no, we're not going to kill you. We're going to bring you to justice. And I was like, that was dope. That was so
I told you they were gonna switch. I told y'all they were gonna switch.
We saw it coming, but like,
I actually like that, and I really feel like it happened because when she was fighting her sister, and they were fighting exactly the same way, that was so good too. Like, that fight was amazing. But when she was fighting her sister and she tells her the truth, her sister doesn't believe her. I still think that is her biggest goal, is to reconnect or to be there for Osha. So really, it wasn't even about justice. It was justice, but at the same time, it was the only way that Osha would ever know is if he did, because we don't really see from the angle right away because they're keeping it a surprise. But could May see Osha in the corner the whole time when she's trying to get him to confess? You know what I mean? Like, I really think she needed her sister to know what really happened and to not, because she thinks that she's been because she called her brain controlled. She brainwashed by the Jedi Order, and she wants her sister to be free.
I mean, it's
Oh, you just said the same thing.
It's kind of like what I really liked about the show is that, like, for May, it was very important for him to admit what he did, and you see that in like court cases, right, where people were like, "I don't want you to go to jail. I want you to admit what you did." Like, we've seen that happen, right? It's kind of like assault when something happens and they gaslight you into pretending it never happened, and it's like, I want you to admit what you did. And the person like won't, because they have it in their mind that that's not what happened, right? So it's really, really interesting how badly she wanted. I do feel like, I think MJF said that they're definitely her arc was, it felt like a little something is missing, because I love the ending, I love the beginning, but I feel like there was something in the middle that we're kind of missing. There's also this whole thing with like Basil disrupting the ship, trying to keep her from getting hit with Soul. Soul was going to kill her. I was like, wait a second, what's going on here?
I was going to run her down.
Like, why? First of all, why is Basil trying to save her? Why is Soul trying to run her down? And like, I felt like I missed something. Like, maybe I was like scratching my nose and I missed the scene, but like, that felt a little weird to me. I didn't know why that happened.
Maybe
But
that was the editing.
But
You know, I actually agree.
But I think this movie, this should have been a movie, and one of the biggest reasons for that now is that scene through the asteroids was so beautiful.
It was cinematic.
Yes, it was so
that's where the budget went.
good.
And I was like, if I watched this in IMAX, I would have been
So
like over the
good.
moon. That was.
Can I tell you, like, I know you said, like, you know that I'm a Trekkie, but like, one of the best things about like science fiction and being, especially when we're in space, is actually being in space. And like, it wasn't until then I was like, so much of this show actually took place like on a planet. It just went to another planet, went to the Brindok, we went to Coruscant, whatever. But that, I was just like, oh yes, I'm home. I was like, this is so gorgeous. I was like, thank you.
Good.
And then like even like the watching the way they flew, the way that the asteroid belt was like not asteroid belt. What was it? It was rings around the planet, right?
Yeah, the rings.
Yeah, the way that it was like constructed, the whole thing, I was just like, oh, it was so gorgeous. It was so gorgeous. And you can see like even just like the size disparity between the two ships. And she said like he's too big to come in here. He's like, I don't care. I'll tear the ship up. Unless I'm gonna tear you up too. I was like, okay. And Basil was like, you're going too far, dude. You're crazy. Like he knew it. Like it's funny because Basil knew that May wasn't OSHA, but at the same time, he doesn't think she deserves to be run down that way.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But this is like one of the scenes where I'm like, there were so many good things happening in like the finale. I wouldn't have minded if this scene came a little earlier, because like it wouldn't have hurt the story that much. You could have had another reason for going through that asteroid field, and it would have been something to give us to be like, whoa, this is amazing. Another thing I wish we could have gotten earlier was Senator Raincoat. That scene, I was like, yes, politics.
Oh my gosh,
politics, the war in Star Wars.
I wish they did more politics. I will say that.
And I wish they did it earlier, because that's what I wanted in the last episode when we were beefing. I couldn't figure it out, and I was getting piled on by you guys, rightfully so, fair. But if I had that scene, that's what I would have eaten all my words. If I got this scene in the last episode, I would have eaten all my words, because this is what I wanted
in the past.
This is what I wanted from that last episode.
Also, shout out to David Harewood from.
No, go ahead.
Also, shout out to David Harewood from Supergirl, where he played John Jones, Martian Manhunter.
Yes. Now I was just saying, if we get into the season, we can definitely explore that, because they, you know, it's funny because we did get politics kind of in the prequels, but the way they're doing it now, like in this, even with just that small piece, was just like so perfect, so perfect. I was sitting there like, oh, they're really saying it. They're saying what we're thinking. Oh my gosh, it was great. It was great. Especially the way somebody hold them accountable. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying like so let's talk about it. I want to talk about it in deep, because this is the part I really love about it, right? So the Jedis are like, this is where we see their hubris, where they're like, they want to go unchecked, and they're like, no, we need to rein you in, which is very much like Civil War, where it's like, hey,
don't bring it up. I knew you were gonna say it. I knew you were gonna say that as soon as you brought it up.
Like they want some oversight on it, right? Which I was like, this is so interesting. I want them to go into more. I want them to go and explore this and like figure out. I want a Star Wars Civil War. I want to see what happens. This is the part where I get so excited. This is the war in Star Wars, right? Because wars are not just battles; they're also like politics, and I love that about this.
Lots of politics. Yep.
Oh goodness.
I just loved him calling the Jedi out.
Yes.
Just like, I mean, not to trust any politician, because you should never trust any politician. You need to put your feet to the pedal with them always. But it was just like cathartic to, after what we've watched the Jedi do all season, and him just like flat out say, hey, y'all are kind of reckless here. You don't have any oversight. Maybe we need some more separation of church and state here. Maybe you shouldn't be tax exempt.
Yeah.
I'm like borrowing from some like tweets and memes I've seen about that scene. It was just like,
that's a good question. Are the Jedi tax exempt from the Senate?
Jedi tax exempt?
Who said that?
Don't they live on donations? Because they don't really get paid.
Right.
Which is wild, because they have some massive ass temples, and I'm sure that has a lot of upkeep.
Yeah, who's paying for this?
I
got questions.
Yo, this is gonna be the next season. We got to go into the forensic science of like where they're getting their money from.
Yo, hey, you see those degrees right there?
Yes.
Let's go.
But every time they take down a syndicate.
But I want to talk about some bars that he dropped. He says like, you guys are this unchecked power posing as a religion, and I was like, oh shit, that was like, and then he goes, you're looking up to your heroes, and you can't see what's right in front of you. Another great line that I thought was great. And then they're like, we've been dependent on Jedis for so long, we can't imagine a world without it. It's kind of like how we feel like defund the police. It's kind of like we imagine the world without it. We can't figure out a world without it. Right? Yeah, yo, this was bars, man. This is what I wanted in last episode. I swear to God, I would have.
Wait, did you say a jab?
Yeah, I've been saying
a jab.
Oh,
the Jedi mind tricks.
Yeah, these are not the taxes you're looking for. Mario says Anakin foreshadowing. Yes, there was some Anakin foreshadowing. This will be your doom kind of vibe. I thought that was really good. Yeah, man. I really enjoyed this, but like trust me, I would have. That's why I was like, like not everything had to be at the end. Yes, it was so great, but you could have shared the wealth a little bit.
I think there's just a beauty in just like sitting and in being a part of the journey and enjoying the journey, kind of taking in the scenery. I don't think it was like necessary fluff. I just feel like it really was trying to like take you there and take you with them, and we knew it as they knew it, because sometimes you know things before the characters and you're just like waiting for them to find out. But we really are finding out everything as Osha is finding it out. Or actually maybe a little before, but for the most part, we're finding out as they find out. I still think that we don't really know like fully everything.
Yeah, like
but for me, like all the
you don't know.
Well, we kind of know Kamir's
he wanted an acolyte,
but we don't know.
why.
We don't know what. Oh well, I think that goes back to the creepy Plagueis dude, because what he says he wants to act like he wants the power of 2, right? So he already has been. He's being taught, and he's been getting ideals from that guy, and then what he wants is like to basically continue, kind of what the witches not what the witches wanted, but it just didn't whether they wanted continuation, because what the witches actually wanted, what Headland said, was just like continuation, to be able to like have a legacy, to move on. That's why they created the children. But really they would try to create a child, and then it was too much power for Mother and Senia, and that's why it's split into 2, and that's why they're exactly the same. So I can see the link. There's an article that I read. I can't remember was it right now, but I can send it to you. But yeah, that's what she said about that. And so with I don't know what just happened. I don't know if it's had like an old lady moment, but like I completely lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no worries.
I was like, wait a minute, what was I talking about? Where was I going?
So now that we're here, let's talk about it. Let's talk about Darth Plagueis. And so, I personally don't think that Kamir is the acolyte or apprentice of Darth, Plagueis. I think Darth Plagueis is trying to see what they're doing. And I don't know if they actually become Sith. They might become like, I'm hoping some kind of like Knights of Ren faction or something different, right? Because we know that Darth Plagueis is, his apprentice is Darth Sidious. So we know that, and he kills him in his sleep. And he also learns the power of creating life from the midichlorians. So like all of this is coming together. That's great. I don't know if Kamir and Darth Plagueis are together, and he decides to betray Plagueis and get his own acolyte. That's a possibility. But I'm curious. I really don't know what his
Plagueis is the dad, and he's just keeping an eye on his daughters.
Ooh.
I was like, what are you talking about? No.
But for real, they have no father. It's only
of course, yeah.
Yeah. But what I will say, yes, we know that Plagueis taught Darth Sidious. We know that Plagueis is long-lived. So, I did some wiki researching, and I will, unfortunately, be referencing episode 9. By the way, I gotta say, I used to love Palpatine so much, and then episode 9 just ruined him for me as a character. I gotta admit, like, I was just like, okay, there are no stakes for this character. But anyway, to reference, unfortunately, that character. So apparently in that movie, he says that he found the secret, Plagueis' secret to, quote unquote, eternal life by simply transferring your soul from one body to another, to a clone body. And by the way, this was like ripped straight from the like 1990s comics Dark Empire, where Palpatine did come back in Legends and stuff. So if we go by that presumption that Plagueis also his way of cheating death is like, transferring his soul. Perhaps he does this for like another 100 years or so until like he trains Sidious / Palpatine. Now on the creating life thing. So this has been a long-standing fan theory about Anakin, that Anakin may have in fact been created by Darth Plagueis and not the Force directly. But I just saw, I think it was a Polygon article I read about it today, about how Anakin may have been created specifically to be an empty shell for Darth Plagueis to enter as a new body.
Ooh,
so,
and he had such a high M count that, oh, okay, I buy that.
Yeah, like, which
that's
is
a
really
good theory.
fascinating. Yeah. As for, Plagueis with Kamir, I would err on the side of like Kamir is probably one of his apprentices. And now like Kamir is breaking the rule of two by having his own acolyte. Maybe Kamir has run away from Plagueis for whatever reason, as Kamir has run away from his own previous Jedi Master, whom we now know as Venestra. It adds for like fascinating, complications in the stories, and that gives so much room for like a season 2, a season 3 of the Acolyte, and I'm really excited. I really hope it gets a season 2. The ratings have been overall solid.
Yes.
I know it's not like, top tier. I really hope that Lucasfilm ignores the haters in this instance, please. Like,
actually, I will agree with that.
Yeah, just like
I do hope they
listen.
ignore the haters.
Yes. Like, it's just like the ratings are solid. That's all you need. People are watching the show. People have their Disney Plus subscription, so please focus
And
on
people
that.
are talking about it, and that's how they rate it too. Is like the online engagement.
Now, I'm going to go back to this comment MTF made that this season's going to play so much better as a binge. I kind of wish it was like a 3-part movie almost, as opposed to 8 episodes. Like a 3-part Disney Plus movie drops week after week. I think that would have been amazing. I think that would have done it.
And I know some people like the way it was there. They like to sit with it. They like to talk about it every week. But like, I like that too. I love that. But for this particular show, it didn't work for me. And I don't know why. It just, like I said, I think there weren't enough things spread out for me to really care and be emotionally invested.
So as a 3-part movie, for example, or 4-part movie even, right? Like week after week, it would have given you enough spread out, but also you could fit all that content in. Yeah. I think they should have played with the format a bit, and then there would have been zero, like, well, I mean, I can't say zero, but a lot of the debate and the hatred for it would have just gone away.
Like, let's talk about the guy.
Oh, sorry. I just want to like go
it's
on
Star
that.
Wars. People are gonna hate on it regardless.
Well, yes,
but also
ignoring
that.
Like, people like me wouldn't have hated it throughout the middle.
Well, not you, Jazz, but like a lot of, I will just say, white men.
Okay, yes, the racism,
just like sexist
misogyny.
Men. I mean,
right?
It's been so intense, and it's just like this is one of the most diverse things Star Wars has ever done. With East Asian leads, Black leads, a very diverse writers' room, which, by the way, has like a Turkish writer. So one of the only Star Wars projects with a Swana writer. It's Cora Donna, who did Mr. Robot. It's a brilliant writer.
Oh, I love Mr. Robot.
Yeah, so it's just like, I mean, it's been very apparent to me. And the thing is, like, y'all know me. I'm all for like genuine criticism. I love like having those debates. And if you don't like something genuinely, then that's fine. I don't care. But like, the sheer vitriol I have seen for this series online, it's just like, I mean, yeah, it's racist and sexist. That's what's animating a lot of it. Not all of it, but yeah.
I like one episode. I liked one episode, and I got called a Disney shill, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "Me, like me a shill." I was like,
"We're actually talking about it. We're talking about what we don't like."
I was so critical of it, and I got called a shill, and I was just like, guys, it's fair. The finale is great. The overall show is pretty good. Like I'm happy with it.
There's a lot to criticize Disney for. This isn't really one of those things.
I think what's it called, glazing? Because I actually had to look it up because somebody commented on one of the first things I posted about the Acolyte. It's crazy how Disney glazes. I'm like, wait, what does that even mean? I don't go look it up. I guess it's the same thing where like you're getting paid to like be positive. I'm like, you think my little account's getting paid to talk about this show?
Come on, we're not that big.
What do you mean?
We would love that bag.
Please.
Disney's not giving us that bag.
So I've gone to like a few events, like red carpets and stuff like that. Disney is actually the cheapest out of everybody. Like Universal, MGM, like every single one. Like everyone, Disney doesn't give you popcorn. They don't even like have people checking you in. It's like they have like a little tiny piece of paper with the name of the show misspelled on it. It's so bad. Like Disney is the cheapest when it comes to like premieres and stuff like that. They're literally the worst. Trust me, they're not giving us any money. They're not. And they're not, we're going to talk about it. Like, for example, like one thing I think Leslie did amazing, and she kind of trolled all these trolls, is that she had that guy, Mundi, who said that the Sith haven't been here for a millennium. And then the entire internet erupted. Like, how could he say that? How could he say that? There's a Sith right there. And now we know it was a cover up. And it was like, you idiots. Yeah. You idiots. And you shut the fuck up about it now.
I literally have lost brain cells trying to conceive of people actually being mad about something like that. I can't.
What it's making me it's giving me kind of some dead brain cells too. When I made my post about Soul, about how like I'm just truly disgusted with him now, there were people writing paragraphs about how he didn't do anything wrong. I'm like, I was like, I can't take me sarcastic. Yeah.
Hold up.
Yeah. And then they were like, all he did, he only accidentally killed Mother Issa and lied to Osha. He
only
almost
accidentally.
Only killed her mom. What do you mean only? I don't understand how you can brush that aside. I don't
all I know is the dark side wouldn't be that hard for me to go to.
It's very appealing.
Honestly, they had me at pieces of lie. Like I was like already there. I was like, hell yeah. That line alone got me. I'm like, oh shit, say less.
Man, just let me express myself. As soon as you have like you don't have to express your emotions, I'm in. Because I couldn't live as a Jedi. It's too much. It's just like I think like the powers are cool. I think I would love to train, and if I could just like walk away and do my own thing, that'd be great. Like I don't really have any like take over the world aspirations, but like just to have my own Jedi powers and have this lightsaber, I think that'd be really cool. And to be able to fight, like they could fight, that'd be great. But yeah, to actually be a part of the Order, I've never been like that enamored with them. So I actually was just talking about this earlier too, about how like in the original movies the Jedi are like completely not fallen, but like are gone. So it's just like this hopeful thing that we're getting a Jedi again, and they have like this supposedly really great history. And then you see how they actually are, where they're mostly almost like acting like police and like bodyguards in the prequels. And I don't know. And then just it's great to be like to be the heroine, to be the one that comes and say to have those kind of powers. But just like the Jedi itself, to be a part of the Jedi Order like at its height, I don't know, it doesn't really seem like a thing for me. And then even if you think about what they do, like they're supposed to be peacekeepers. I don't understand why they can't have families. Because everybody else in the world, even most religious orders, and like like I know there are some monks, but most religious orders get married and have children, and it's just fine. And then even cops, they work a certain hours and they go home and they have wife and kids. And how there was a kind of like a shortage of people with a high midichlorian count, like later on in the prequels, I believe. If they could get married and have kids, they'd have more children with high midichlorian counts instead of having to going around trying to snatch everyone else's kids. Like if you just take everything, if you take and you take and you take, you give everything back. This is why you are where you are now. So when they set up their system 1,000 years ago, there was a plethora of people with a plethora of midichlorian, plethora of power in the Force, but you keep taking them and all pulling them into the same place without replenishing, essentially the source. Yeah. So if y'all weren't snatching babies, y'all wouldn't be in the problems you are right now.
I want to add even more
Chris,
to that, because one of the things, like you talked about, they're peacekeepers, right? And one of the things that the Jedi, the Sith say, peace is a lie. And I started thinking about this, and it's like, it is, when they're in peace times, there's still slavery in the world. How is that peace?
Yes.
How is that peace? And it's kind of like what's happening in the world. There's some certain countries who would say, oh, all we want is peace. Yes, all we want is peace, but also we want your land, and we want to make sure you can't do this and you can't do that. What type of peace is that? That's not real peace.
Yeah.
You want your oil, want your cobalt, we want your resources.
But we want peace.
Just another pretext for imperialism and for control. That's what it is. You know, with the Jedi, Christine, you mentioned the Jedi not being able to have families. That is a form of control. That them taking these children from their families, controlling them from, you know, how they're brought up. And I don't think the series is necessarily saying the Sith are good. You know, I think
not at all.
I am saying it. I'm about chaos, but there's a show with
right.
I am.
Yeah. Like, and again, I will keep referencing it.
Don't
Knights of the
say
Old
that.
Republic.
Just kidding.
I will keep referencing Knights of the Old Republic 2. Play this game. If you have a Switch, get it. Whatever game system you have, get Knights of the Old Republic 2 if you've never played it, or even if you've never played KOTOR before. Like, it still gives you. It's on the Switch, yeah.
Oh, say what?
KOTOR 1 and KOTOR 2. And so I recommend playing both of them, but especially KOTOR 2. And the character of Kreia, like, spoilers for like a 15-year-old game, or like almost 30 at this point. But the thing is, like, what it does, or sorry, 20, yeah, not 30. Again, what Kreia does so well is, like, she points out the bullshit of both the Jedi and the Sith. She, like, viscerally, like, critically analyzes the Jedi code, the Sith code, just like this sheer binary that the Jedi and the Sith have placed themselves into. And yeah, you know, we just had a comment, like, curious about Force factions that aren't Jedi or Sith. Yeah, that's what we got with the Coven. It's brilliant. Like, we need more of that. We need more exploration of this. And I will also say, specifically, we need more exploration of it from marginalized creators, whom the culture, from the Force and the Jedi specifically, again, like, al-Jedi is an Arabic word in a North African dialect that means master of the mystical warrior. Wait, that's where George Lucas got the word Jedi from an Arabic word when he was, like, making Star Wars in Tunisia. And
speaking, I want to add to that. Something that's been staring us in the face every single episode. In the Acolyte symbol, the thing, you see a moon. Kimar is Arabic for moon. It's been in front of us the whole time. And Sol is sun. So it's like, we've been seeing it in every single episode.
Sun and the moon.
Yeah.
And the stars. And the twins are the stars. Sun and moon and the stars. Yes. I decided that because so cute.
But yeah, so I would love to see, and yeah, the Jedi are also, like, obviously inspired by, like, Buddhist monks, you know, and, you know, from East Asia or Tibetan monks potentially. And yeah, why don't we have some more Force users, groups that are directly inspired by other, like, religious or monastic orders, and you have the peoples of those regions, of those religions, of those cultures, Muslims, Hindus,
Shinto,
Buddhists.
I would love to see Shinto Jedi. Oh, that'd be so cool.
Exactly. Like, the closest we've gotten to that is season 1 of Star Wars Visions, which is one of my favorite Star Wars projects. And yeah, so just keep doing more of what you started here in the Acolyte, Lucasfilm. There's so much to explore out here and to build this series instead of just being Jedi versus Sith, Jedi versus Sith, Jedi versus. It's just like, it gets tiring after a while. And while I know the Acolyte does still have Jedi versus Sith, it still does something new with that, and I want more of that.
Yeah. So I agree.
And yeah, Michael, I agree. I want the Jedi Order to be interpreted more through marginalized creators. I've said this for months, years at this point. Absolutely.
one of the things that you mentioned that got me thinking is that, we talked about how it's just the Jedi and the Sith, the Jedi and the Sith. And Christine mentioned a little bit earlier that like they were snatching up kids. And if they had families, they wouldn't have to that. I feel like if they had families, there would be so many more Jedis and force sensitive people that the Jedi would not be able to control them. And I think that's why they don't let them have families. And I would love to see that explored, because that also makes them like they're fanatical and they're trying to limit people, and I would love to see that explored. I think that's also really, really cool.
But I can also come from a place of where like a well-meaning idea kind of gets twisted, because you do still have to, because even with what the senator was saying, you really can't have like build up people and make them super powerful and have them go unchecked, right? So like at the inception of the Jedi Order, and so in the exception of the order, the point of the order is like, okay, there's a lot of people who could potentially be using the force for not good. Let's create something good that will kind of control that and like protect people. So like that sounds more like the idea of where it started, but we're like 1,000 years later and you've been reigning supreme, with no one checking you. So like that's just, I really feel like I'm not on the all Jedi are bad bandwagon. I think the system itself is broken. I feel like they need to dig deep and like restructure, do something to figure out like all these issues that they have. So yeah, I don't think they all need to be like eradicated, but I just think that they need to be held accountable, and it just feels like a lot of brainwashing. Every time they say, oh, so-and-so's too old, so-and-so's too old. How does that make sense? Like you weren't, especially remember when Mother Asenia said, "Had my child raised by an institution instead of a family." Yeah. Like they don't, like, how could Saul ever know what it was like to see parenting or a mother's love or different sides of that he's never known it himself? How can you protect people that you don't understand? Like, how can you do anything if you're so far removed from it? If you never felt anything, if you never explored anything, if you never like when things are so unfamiliar. And that's what happened. He made all these snap judgments based on his own biases because he's not familiar with something. And it's nothing. And Headland said that they didn't know they were dealing with. So it's a little bit of, space magic, like they're being witches, but at the same time, they still use the force, unlike the other witches. So like they're making assumptions of the parts that they know that were bad or people have used for bad in the past. So he's jumping to other conclusions. Oh, terrible. No child soldiers, X, Y, and Z, like he wasn't a child soldier himself. I don't know. But like he doesn't, if you actually watch when he's watching them, he kind of watches her. She watches them when she brings them to the fortress with Mother Coral. But he never sees like the soft moment with Mother Asenia because he's busy climbing over the wall, like get in. So he doesn't see them again until they're fighting. So he doesn't see the like soft mothering. He doesn't see her as a mom because he says they don't treat them like children. But at the same time, it's impossible. If you've seen everything that we've seen, you can feel that way. So it's like how, like basically, how CPS is a thing, right? If you're going to investigate a dangerous situation for a child, you need to investigate the situation. You can't just look at something. Oh, that's bad. Take it out right now. No, you need to follow through. Because the thing about like, at least with the government or the law now, it's actually pretty hard to take a child from their parent because we understand how valuable the family is, how integral that is to like raising a person. And so you would go through like, mark all your P's and Q's, see if they have food, see if they have clothes, see if they, see how they're being treated. You would do, there's so much to actually investigating that you can't do in like the 20 minutes that he saw of them. Yeah. And for him to just like, for even everyone who was saying, oh, he accidentally killed her. It never would have happened at first as he minded his business. If he wasn't jumping to conclusions, like he put everything that he did was reckless and like selfish. Coming from a well-meaning place, but his actions were what was wrong. So for me, everybody who's just like a soul apologist, I'm not even going to argue with y'all. Like, I just understand how your brain works. Like, I don't understand. I really don't.
So I want to talk about this before we end the show because this is very, very important. And it may be it's less soul trashing and more soul praising because that fight was dope. That fight was dope. And I want to talk about that fight. and it was so cool. They start off in a corridor, and I love hallway fights. It's a staple of Star Wars. When in Rogue One, it's also in all the Marvel shows. I love when they did that. You can see the lightsabers burning through all these amazing things. They did a Couching Tiger, hidden, a dragon, all that's like wire work. I thought that was cool. But then when he takes out the sword and has the second sword, and they go in that. Oh my God, it was so good. And then you see him do this move where he's blocking the lightsaber from hitting him, and then he goes and wraps it around and tries to make the other guy's lightsaber hit his helmet to short it out. And then he does the move that you're not supposed to do, forbidden move. And then I thought that was so good. And he also did the Obi-Wan Kenobi move that he did on Darth Maul, except he cut the lightsaber instead of Darth Maul. But I thought that fight was so good. I thought it was well choreographed. I'm not a fight expert, but it looked beautiful. And it's definitely one of my favorite Star Wars fight scenes.
Yo, we may have to extend this episode a bit. Because I do want to talk about him shutting off his lightsaber and turning it on again like that. Would that actually count as a forbidden move? Like,
it's defensive, so I would not. I don't think it counts as the forbidden move, because the forbidden move is supposed to be done in an offensive manner, and he did it as a defense.
Yeah, like I was like, holy shit, are they gonna open this can of worms here? Like, this could bring a lot of scrutiny to the Acolyte for no reason, but here we are, I guess. So,
I don't know.
Also, I made a meme. Check it out. This is gonna be great.
Star Wars is gonna be
Oh my God, yes.
Did you just make
solve
that?
a lot of problems. I just made it right now.
That's so great. Yes. Oh.
I'll put it on Twitter if anybody wants to see it. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So while this whole fight's going on, we see the whole thing with May and Osha, and they're like, Osha, the reason that she couldn't be a Jedi is because she had a hard time believing that someone, or accepting that someone she loved could do something so horrible, which is so interesting
because she didn't.
That's so good. That was so great, because it was
Soul's fault.
It was Soul's fault. Oh my God, I really, really like that, man. That was really, really good, and I really like seeing that. But then she gets mad. She believes that no, she doesn't. She force chokes him, and she kills him without a weapon. And I was like, that's really badass. And he says, and the thing that I really like about it is that he says it's okay. And I think like that's something that's going to go a long way. And that's probably one of the good things that he did, because what's going to happen is there's going to come a time where she's going to have to contemplate what she did, and not being able to forgive yourself will probably send you deeper into the dark side. And he gave her that way out. And it reminds me of the Anakin and Obi-Wan in the Obi-Wan show, where he goes, "You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did." And it was like a way for Obi-Wan to kind of, the way for Anakin to kind of like give that forgiveness to Obi-Wan. And I feel like Soul did that same thing. And it's the one good thing that he did before dying. And I thought that was a cool scene.
I saw it completely differently. Yeah. Because that pissed me off. Yeah. No, because what authority does he have to give her forgiveness when he couldn't even apologize? Right. When he could not take any accountability for his actions? I was like, you got to be kidding me. I know this man isn't telling her it's okay. Because you've seen it before. It's
the nerve of this guy.
Like, I was like, the nerve, the audacity of this man. I was hot. That made me so mad. Like, oh no, it's like, I understand. I'm sorry, I'm losing words. I was so.
I may have been,
and also the audacity for him to be like, "Cause Osha, I love," he's trying to say, "I love you."
No,
like,
cut it
which
off,
is
cut
just
it
like.
No.
Cut it off, and I think you're being a bit of a creep here, Soul, to be quite honest.
He's definitely being a bit of a creep, but I do feel like that would be something that she would take with her if she goes to the dark side. As condescending as it is.
No, she's good. I don't think she'd be conflicted. I think she'd be all right. And
she with Kamir now. She's good. All Shamir has set sail. We are good.
Wait,
it depends on your definition of good.
Hand. Oh, the way that I squealed. Oh my gosh. I was like, he really does. Like, after
the comments.
That is
the comments saying, the way he still thinks he has a moral superior. He's a moral superior one, or morally superior one. God dang it, I cannot say that correctly.
And that's because he's been raised as a Jedi. That's what they do to them, give him this moral righteousness that they don't deserve.
Yeah, because you gotta do more than that. But going back to what you said about Obi-Wan and Anakin, I don't think it was a way. I didn't see it that way either. It didn't seem like a way to give Obi-Wan forgiveness. It was more of a way to, like take some agency and then be like, this had nothing to do with you. This was me. This is my choice. I am the way I am because
maybe forgiveness wasn't the right word. Maybe it was more like give him. What's the right word?
Absolution.
Yeah,
absolution. That's a word we haven't heard since episode 2 or 1, whichever it was.
It wasn't on you, and I get that. So that makes sense. Let's see what else happened in this episode.
Can we talk about anybody? Was it just me? Was I crazy? But I thought after the fight on Brindok, after Soul is dead, we see somebody in the shadows that is not Quimir. And I know couldn't have been imagining it because I swear I was the only person.
Did I miss something?
But we see something. We saw something that was obviously Quimir. But then when he's watching, when the Jedi come, but before that, before the girls leave, I think this person was watching the girls. And I have a theory on who it was. But if I'm the only person that saw it, I'm starting to feel a little. I genuinely, hold on. I'm about to pull it up right now.
I gotta go back.
I remember there is an interview where as Leslie Helen wouldn't really answer it, but there's a mother whose body we never saw.
Yeah, she did say that. No body.
And we've been thinking about how did baby May survive?
Coral. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean baby May? What do you mean?
Maybe when May was 8 years old and she
escaped the tunnel. Mother Coral did the smoke screen thing and then went into Kelnaka, right?
Yeah.
She didn't die.
No,
and she wasn't part of the Witch Coven when they were also all partly controlling Kelnaka, right? We never saw her body. We never saw her die. We didn't see any of it.
We did not.
I'm on board. I'm on board with that. I don't remember seeing that scene, but yeah, that's possible.
I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna have to go back. Yeah.
So then at the end we kind of get to see May and Osha together, and they're trying to go away, and they decide this part was a little bit confusing to me. So maybe you guys can explain it to me. So it seems like they're trying to figure out what to do, and Osha's like, hey, if you let her go, I will come with you. And he says, okay. And then I'm going to wipe her brain so that they can't follow us, so they can't find out where we are. I didn't love that. Well, what about you guys? I think they could have done something else. That was a little weird to me.
It was jarring. Oh, go ahead.
I thought it made sense, to be honest. I mean, because the Jedi are going to mind probe, they're going to try to wrestle whatever information they can out of May. So it honestly made the most sense. And May being a willing participant for it, especially, she was like, okay, my sister is safe. We're good now. I'm going to sacrifice anything I will now to protect my sister, with the hope that even though I won't remember, that she will find me. And
why would Osha let her do that and get her mind wiped?
Because it's to protect her sister. Or why would Osha? No, you mean why would May?
Yeah, why would Osha allow May to let her have her memory wiped? But I think it's just a part of her own agency. And I also like that before this happened that you didn't mention is that they didn't run away to be with Quimir. I would have, but they ran away together.
There you go.
So no, because she's like, no, trust me. And then they climb down the wall together. And then she's showing her how she survived when she was 8 years old. And so what did you do now? And then they come to the tree, and it's like, because whenever I find you, whenever I look for you, is I come here. So it's such a touching moment. And they just wanted to be together. And then he shows up and says, hey, if I can find you, they can find you. So now they're like, okay, we're not just getting out of this. So then then it was a rush of a plan, if that makes sense. So that might be why you're feeling the way that you do. But it made sense for given the time that they had. Like the Jedi were like literally running through the forest.
On their
You got to make a
tails.
decision.
I was like,
yeah.
can't both of y'all just go?
So I don't. So yeah, that's true. I wonder why he can only take one of them. Like I kind of wish they were both go. But at the same time, do you have to give the Jedi something in order to like kind of, I don't know, like
it puts him
the
off
cloud,
the
the tail,
maybe.
like just like so.
That's exactly what happened.
But also before this, we know that and as far as Ocean knows, because he never said he forgave May for betraying him, he might still want, like, as soon as they leave, he could just like cut May's head off and like be like, okay, you're my acolyte now. So she's putting her sister first and saying, like, assuring her sister's safety. Look, I'll come with you if you help us, and just make sure that she's free. Yeah. And then May wants to say, oh yeah. And then he gives him the way that, he can wipe her memory so that they can't be found. And of course May willingly tries. Maybe she will try to hide those memories from Vanessa. Yeah, I think that's the point. Is that's why she got her memories wiped, so that Vanessa could not keep it. And then because Vanessa is so powerful with seeing kind of what happened, and because she saw those scenes, the past and like what just recently happened, she puts it all on Soul. I'm sorry. We went from one cover up to the next one. I was just was it a cover? But was that her understanding?
Real.
Or
he
she
learned
just like
nothing. He learned nothing.
But at the same time, she knew that the senator wanted oversight, and like to say it was an actual active Jedi, it's almost like she's falling on the sword, saying, okay, maybe we actually do need, because what this happened, this was wild. Like this happened by 4 powerful masters who I never would have assumed like this could have happened to them. So maybe she's like, okay, I don't fully agree with you, but something's got to give. So maybe that was just the way forward.
I mean, Master Indaro was like, hey, you're being emotional to Torvin. She said, hey, Soul, this girl, we don't need to interfere. Kanaka was being chill the entire time. Like, Indara had it right. And
Indara said the right things, but then her actions did the wrong things.
Yes,
so,
yes.
Like, I don't want to say it's like a white woman, but like,
did Kalnaka do anything wrong? I'm trying to figure out.
Kanaka's innocent.
He doesn't do anything wrong, but he wasn't mentally strong enough. So I don't know if that's like really his fault. He just wasn't strong enough to like fight off all the witch coven. So
it is a powerful coven. But the thing is, like, also for Nestra, in admitting, this about Soul and the Indara and the other Jedi, the question is, how much self-reflection and culpability is she going to reflect on?
None.
Yeah. You see, this is
there were a few bad apples. He was a murderer. What murder? Like, come on now.
The lone wolf.
Oh, God. And it's just like, yeah, again, even in its ending and resolution like that, it leaves us with these questions of, did the Jedi actually really learn anything from this? Other than like saying like, it was just a few bad apples and just whatever. It's just like, but that's how it happens in real life, unfortunately.
Corruption goes all the way to the top.
Well, speaking of the top,
like
they
it
voted.
Oh,
go ahead.
I don't think there will be change until what happens. Like, it had to be a full destruction of the Jedi Order as it was before there could ever be changed. Because the newer Jedi that we're seeing were all adults. And they're learning it later. And they all have like friends that they care about. And they're all learning kind of like this new way. And so I just don't see how it could ever go back to the old way now that we are where we are.
I hope not.
But that's why, oh gosh, please don't. No. But that's why what happened. So
now this
and
does.
Sorry,
but it was Soul's fault.
Yeah. Sorry, I just actually want to jump way ahead. And again, I'm going to reference episode 9 as much as I heavily dislike that movie. The thing is, after that, we are having Charmin Obey-Chinoy's movie about Rey and her rebuilding the Jedi Order. I pray that they delve into these questions. I pray that they have
I hope so too.
This sort of exploration. Like, this is compelling. This is what I want. Just
I was going to say,
the success of these shows.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because we had the success of these shows. Oh, sorry. Wait, who's going?
Yeah. Okay, I'll go. Yeah, I was gonna say because like this is exactly what Sora was saying. I think this makes when Yoda helps Luke burn down the old Jedi archives, whatever was left in what was it, episode 8 or 9? I can't remember.
Episode 8.
This
Episode 8.
makes it so much better now.
Yeah.
And I am actually really glad they're showing this. And this is makes Yoda like amazing, even more than he already was.
Well, speaking
What
of
episode
Yoda,
was that in?
Episode 8,
it was
Last
episode 8,
Jedi.
the movie. Yeah.
But speaking of Yoda, he's also been known to cover up lies. He's also a big
Yes.
And
it
at
was
the end,
only
you
after
get
the
to see
Clone Wars that he like started self-reflecting.
How do you feel about his little cameo at the end? I thought we could have done without it. I didn't need it. It was fine.
I think I could have lived without it, but I feel like I get the people who are like, but he's alive. Like, how can we just not see him? I'm glad at least that it was a tiny cameo and it wasn't integral to the story, that he wasn't at the council, like that she never had a conversation with him. So for me, like I'm not surprised that it was there, because how can you have? Because that was one of the first things I said, even though I did not want to see him. I was like, he's alive, right? Like he's there.
Yeah.
Like that was one of the first things I thought of, because I knew what time frame it was. And then you think about how old this man is, or whatever Yoda is. Like, the whole High Republic, he's been alive like minus 100 or so years.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it's 1,000 years old and he was like 900 by the time. So, how much of that has to do with once you get set in your ways and you just can't grow? You know what I mean? Being so long lived, do you feel like at some point that you're not learning anymore? Yoda knowing makes him complicit. Absolutely.
MTF,
absolutely.
With the fire always, yeah.
Because they always weigh the consequences, like how would it affect the entire order. You know, this wrong thing would happen, but if it gets out, the whole order would, blah, blah, blah. We can't have that happening. So this brush is over here. Da, da, da. Let's try to, don't let that happen again. We won't let anybody else be a child and like join too late or whatever. But they actually dive deep and fix the root of the problems. And then can you even see, if you were a child raised in a creche and then raised by other Jedi, how could you don't know what you don't know? Like, unless they sit down with other people outside of their order, there's just no way for them to realize what they're missing when it comes to like how they view the world and view people and relationships and emotions.
That's why Grogu made the right choice. He's the Gen Z Yoda.
Gen Z Yoda. We love Grogu.
All right. Before we end this episode, anything that we didn't talk about, because I know we're a little bit over time, but this was such a good episode and we had so much to talk about. I wanted to make sure we talked about anything. Anything we missed?
I think we're
not
good.
That I
going once,
I just
going
want
twice. If not, forever hold your peace. But peace is a lie. So, do you think May will join the process of external review of the order?
I don't see how she could. If she doesn't know anything after age 8, like I don't think she, and she has no motivation to, because she doesn't know that all that happened because of the Jedi. Like they took everything. She remembers the fire. She remembers that, she's trying to find somebody. She knows a girl. She knows now she's a sister because Vanessa told her. But like, I don't think she would find that.
Yeah, I don't know.
But for May's story, the other one says, yes, I'm worried about May's story. Will her motivation be my sister again? Just knowing that you had a sister, I feel like that could be a thing for her to want to know. Like, the only thing she knows is that there was a fire, she lost her family, she's trying to get to somebody, and she knows she has a sister now. She knows a sister that was alive and that she went through something super horrible. So I feel like, why wouldn't she?
Yeah.
But does it give May what she wants?
Someone says, I feel like returning May to a childlike state was an interesting reset, but doesn't give May what she wants. It's really interesting. Of course not. But does she? So I don't know how that works. Like, she doesn't remember anything but 8. But I'm sure she has like motor skills and all that stuff of like what she has. I think she's just
I wouldn't say that way either. I wouldn't say childlike state either. I would think, I agree. Like, if you just wake up and you forgot everything, but you wouldn't start acting like an 8-year-old.
Yeah,
I
like the
feel like it's
maturity
like
and
that.
everything is probably still like innate and subconscious in her. I don't think it'll be like she's an actual 8 years old. But that's fair. Listen, guys, thank you so much for joining us. You guys have been here for every single episode. Really appreciate you, Christine.
You did better than me.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I know.
What?
Christine, you brought us some great info and a lot of things that we never thought about. Swara, we love your takes. We love you going all postal on us about.
Hey, they were right though. They were right. We have to admit that.
Listen. I was critical of the show, and I still think a lot of my critiques still stand. But overall, I'm very happy with the way it ended.
Yes.
Very
Wait till
happy.
you binge it
I
and
agree
see
with
how you
Swara.
feel.
It's my favorite show. It's so good.
Yay.
It's
Ooh,
just
you guys
so-
want
it's
to
like-
rank? You guys want to rank?
It's the show that I would
no,
watch.
no,
I
we're
don't
not doing a
rank.
ranking,
I don't
man.
believe in ranking anymore.
I
really
would give
don't.
a grade over ranking. I don't do that.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
would say for me, this is the one I will rewatch. Like this is the one that like I will enjoy again because
Definitely.
like I do think critically Andor was amazing, but I'm not watching that again. That was depressing. Like
Yeah.
take your kudos and leave me alone. Never watch it. I'll watch it for the season 2. Like
Really?
I'll watch it to conclusion, but I'm not rewatching that. Oh
Oh,
no!
I'll
I
make
like
an
my
Andor
life.
supercut. Like it'll be great.
No, I'm definitely watching Andor again, especially when like the second one drops. I'm gonna rewatch the whole thing. I'm gonna love it.
Yeah, I mean, watch it too. Yeah.
I can't swim. Oh my gosh! Like it still gets me.
Performances
Like,
are so great. I love that. All right, fine. No
so
ranking.
good.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. Christine, let people know where they can find you.
You can find me on most social media at Sinellejay, CINELLEJAY. Come chat with me on Threads and Twitter. I'm trying to be more active and see my videos on TikTok and Instagram. I do have a doll mini me. Bam.
Ooh.
Dressed for the dark side. Yes, because we rep the dark side. We what is it? I support women's wrongs. Ignore the Gryffindor crest. Just ignore that. It's a Sith row. It's great, and I talk about all the nerd things. House of the Dragon. I love Marvel. Love Star Wars. Love Star Trek. That's me.
Awesome. Swara, how about you?
I'm on most social media at Spider Swars. I'm a freelance writer for Nerds of Color, but why though? I've written stuff for Nerdist, New Arab. Check out all my work on those sites. And I'm the co-host of the Middle Geeks podcast, where we cover everything in Swana media and give our takes on it, as well as media we enjoy watching. We are going to do our own overall season review of The Acolyte. We're recording that next week, so stay tuned for that.
All right. Thank you so much for being on the show. Everybody listening, don't forget to give us a review. We're looking at reviews. We only got about like 15 reviews. We want to get some more of them up. Please give us a good review on Apple Podcasts. It helps with the algorithm. And everybody online, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Everybody in the comments, thank you so much, chat. We love you guys. And before we go, free my boy Kamir. He only did some of that stuff. Until next time, guys. Salaam, nerds.
Peace.
And I'll take
Peace.